Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful blanket. I'm going to show you how to do this really simple stitch. It's a beautiful blanket and it's a beautiful stitch. It's got a little fillet box in here and these little twisted fans. So the yarn I use for this is a Sarah Ashford. Now this is available in the UK in Home Bargains. It's available in Home Bargains and the number for this one is 17341. It's a double knitting yarn. You can use any yarn you want for this. Any yarn you want. And I'm going to use this. This is a double knitting. And if you're in the USA, that's a weight 3 for you. Got a little knot here, there we go. Now the stitch count for this is 16, so that's 16 sets of 16 and then add another extra 13 stitches. That's to keep the pattern symmetrical. I'll get my blanket and I'll show you this. So the pattern count from the fan to here, from the fan to here is 16. You need an extra 13 and that makes the edge here, the 4 stitches on the edge here, and that final little pattern here and these 4 stitches. You've got 2 skipped here and here. So it's 16 stitches and an extra 13. Or what you can do is leave a long tail. Leave an extra long tail and you can add stitches in if you need to keep the pattern. When you finish it, you're going to do your fan, skip 2, and then you're going to do 4 stitches. And that'll keep the pattern here and here the same. It's going to keep the pattern here and here the same. And the way to avoid it is to do 16 and then leave an extra long tail where you can make some extra stitches if you have to. If you've miscounted, then you can pick stitches out. If you don't have enough to finish it on a fan, skip 2 and then do 4 stitches. If you don't have enough to finish it on that part of the pattern, you can use the tail to add some stitches. So use the hook size it tells you on your yarn. It doesn't matter what yarn you use whatever yarn you want. So for this pattern, it's sets of 16 stitches. But if you leave a long enough tail, we can add or take away stitches. So leave a long tail. It's the easiest way to do it because you might lose counting sets of 16. So I'm going to do a chain and do a sample. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. I'll do a couple more sets of 16. So I've done a sample of chain. Now I'm going to add an extra 13 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, make your sets of 16 as many as you want, or you can do your chain to the length that you want the blanket. Now we've kept a tail in case we need to add more stitches if you've lost your stitch count when you're doing your blanket. And the way to add stitches, you put your hook through the last or that first stitch where your tail is, through that first stitch, and then you can add extra stitches. You can use that tail to add stitches in if you need to, if you think you might have miscounted. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the third stitch in the chain, the third stitch in the chain. We're going to do UK treble crochets. These are double crochets if you're in the USA. So yarn over and into the third stitch, you'll do your double crochet or your treble crochet, whatever country you're in. So that chain becomes your first stitch. You've got 1 and you've got 2. Now do another one in the next stitch. We need 4 to begin with. That's 3 and 1 more. That's 4. So what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. We're going to skip 2, and make a fan of 5 stitches in the next stitch. Into the next stitch, we're going to put 5 UK treble crochets. That's double crochets if you're in the USA, all into the same stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now remember, before you do your fan, you're going to do 2 chain. And this is our first foundation. This is your foundation row. You're going to skip 2 stitches. Now be careful, because that 5 can squash the stitch next to it, and it can push out your stitch count. That's why we've got that long tail, just in case you don't see it. So skip 1 and 2 into the next stitch. You're going to put 1 treble crochet. I'm just going to call it 1 stitch. 1 into the next stitch. That's 2. And 1 into the next stitch. That's 3. You're going to chain 1. You're going to skip 1 and do 3 more stitches. So chain 1, skip 1, and we're going to do 3 along, 1 into each stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to repeat that. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, and do 3 more stitches. So yarn over, skip 1, and do 3 more. 1, 1 into the next one is 2, and 1 into the next one is 3. And that gives you your edge, your first fan. Then you've got skip 2, but just go straight in, skip 2 and do 3 stitches. There's no chain between here. The 2 chain is here. Chain 1, skip 1, 3 stitches. Chain 1, skip 1 and 3 stitches. So now we're going to do that fan again. So we're going to do chain 2, and just for the foundation chain, we're going to skip 2 and build a fan. So skip 2 and make a fan of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. No chains this time. You're going to skip 2 and do 3 stitches along. So just skip 2 and do 3 stitches. That's 1. 1 into the next stitch is 2. 1 into the next stitch is 3. Going to chain 1, skip 1 and do 3 more. 1, 1 into the next one is 2, 1 into the next one is 3. Chain 1, we're going to make our next box, so skip 1 and do 3 more. 1, 1 into the next one, that's 2, and 1 into the next one is 3. And this is what you've got. You've got these sets of 3 are making these little boxes. You've got your little boxes with your 3 stitches. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. So we've done our chain 2, we're going to skip 2 and build a fan, and do that all the way along. And you can write this out if you want. 1, 2, into the same stitch, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2, no chain, so skip 2 and do 3 stitches along. 1 into that one, 1 into the next one, 1 more, chain 1, skip 1 and do 3 more stitches along. 1, 1 into the next one, it's 2, and 1 into the next one is 3. So we've got 2 boxes made. We've got our 2 sets. We're going to do 1 more. We need 3. This is going to make a box. Skip 1 stitch and do 3 along. 1, 2, and 3. And that's your pattern, is looking like this. So we're going to even up the pattern on this end to make it the same as this end. So when you get to your chain, it should be chain 2. You're going to skip 2 and build a fan. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we need to have 6 stitches left. We need to skip 2 and then do our 4 stitches. I don't have enough. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put my hook in. I've got 1, 2, I need another 4 stitches. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over and pull it through. So that way we make sure that we finish our pattern with the fan, skip 2 and 4 stitches. So it'll be the same as this end. So we've done our fan, we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and we're going to do 4 treble crochets along. So no chain this time. So just skip 2 and we're going to do 4 stitches. 1 into that stitch, 1 into the next stitch, that's 2, 1 into this one is 3, and 1 into that last stitch is 4. And that's your foundation chain finished. So we can trim the tail end down a little bit. So remember, we've done the longer tail just in case we miscounted. What we're going to do now is we're going to chain 2, quite loose, 1 and 2, and turn your work around. Now we're going to work into the next 3 stitches. So 1 into the next 3 stitches. Do your treble crochets Or if you're in the USA, it's double crochets. Now there's children outside and that's why Muttley's growling. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do, it'll be really easy to do the pattern, and it's a 1 row repeat. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now count to the last stitch in your fan. Count to the last stitch in your fan. So you're going to skip 1, 2, 3 and 4 into that last stitch. You're going to put your fan, set of 5, into the corner of that last stitch, in there. Put your 5 stitches, 1, all into the same stitch, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now we're going to follow the pattern along. Do not chain 2, just go straight to the next stitch. No chain, don't skip 2 here. So don't do any chains. You're going to skip that little chain and do your 3 along. We're going to build these boxes again, this little pattern in the middle with these boxes here. So 1 into the next one is 2 and 3. You're going to chain 1, skip that chain space and do 3 more stitches. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1, skip that chain space and do 3 more stitches. 1, 2 and 3. You're just going to follow the pattern. Chain 2, 1, 2. You'll always chain 2 before the fan. Skip to the end stitch in your fan. Skip to that end stitch and put a fan in there, into that corner of that last stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Skip that chain and do your 3, chain 1, skip the space, 3, chain 1, skip the space and then do your 3. You're going to follow the pattern. So no chain, just go straight over to this stitch. Just go straight over to this stitch. 1 in there, 1 in the next one, 1 in the next one. I'm going to do our little fillet boxes, so chain 1, skip the space, and we're going to do 3 along. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1, skip the chain space and do 3 along. 1, 2 and 3. Now we're at the fan, so we have to chain 2. 1, 2. Skip 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches of the fan and go into that last stitch and put a fan in there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Skip the chain and do 3 stitches. No chain here. Skip the chain and do 3 along. 1, 1 into the next one, 2, 1 into the next one. Chain 1 and make your little box. We're following this little pattern here. 1 into the next one, 1, 2 one into the next one. So that's us got our 3 stitches. You've got your 3 stitches, chain 1, skip that chain space and do 3 along. 1, 2 and 3. Now you can get your hook and your yarn and you can crochet along with the video. Once you've done this pattern, once you've got it set up, it's easy to follow it. So we've got our fan, we're going to chain 2 to get across here. Chain 1 and 2. Skip across the fan and in to that last stitch in the fan. And put another fan in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the chain and you should have 4 stitches left. No chains on your hook this time. Skip that and you're going to do 4 along. 1 into the next stitch is 2, 1 into the next one is 3, and you'll put your 4th one in the top of that long chain of 2 you done, those 2 big stitches that you did for your chain. Now we're going to pull up a little bit and chain 2, 1 and 2 and turn, and we're going to follow the pattern. Now you can see how it staggers the fan and you've got the chain spaces, it'll stagger it. Then you've got your sets of 3 stitches, chain 1, skip the space, 3 stitches, chain 1, skip the space, 3 stitches, and we're going to do our chain 2 and the fan in this corner. So that's my first stitch there. So 1 into the next one, 1 into that one, that makes 3. So we've got our little long chain, 1, 2 and 3. 1 into the next stitch, that's 4. That's me got my edge done. Chain 2, 1, 2. Skip over the fan to the last stitch. You can see it's that stitch there before that chain of 2. Put your fan in. 1, make sure you put 5 in. 2, 3, 4 and 5. You only do that chain 2 before the fan. So go to your next 3 stitches, yarn over and do your 3 stitches across. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1, skip that chain space and do 3 across. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1, skip the chain space and 3 across. 1, 2 and 3. So you're at your fan again. You need to do your chain 2 to get you over to here. So chain 2, 1, 2, and then do your fan in that corner, in that last stitch. And do that all the way along. And that's the one row you keep repeating until your blanket is as big as you need it to be. And 1 into the next one, that's 3. And then 1 into the top of those 2 long stitches that we did. And that's going to keep your edge nice and straight. Pull your stitch up and chain 2, 1 and 2 and turn, and that will give you a nice edge up the side. And we're going to continue with the pattern. So we've got that one's done, we've got 3 more because you need 4 on the edges. It gives you a nice border. and 3. So you've got your chain and 3 stitches makes 4. Chain 2 because you're at the fan. The chain 2 helps you over here and build your fan. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now skip the chain and go straight over and do your 3 stitches. I got tangled up there. So you're doing one into the next stitch, 1 into the next stitch, chain 1, skip the space and do your next 3, chain 1, skip the space, do your next 3, chain 2 to take you over to the edge of the cut, chain 2 to take you to the last stitch in the fan and build the next one. And that's what you're going to continue to do. And that's the pattern that you're going to have on your blanket. Now, what I did, you can either leave it with this on the top and pick up stitches along the sides, the bottom and up the other side. The way I did the corners, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Now into that same stitch, I'm going to put one more. I'm going to chain 2 and then put 2 more stitches into that last stitch. And that's going to give me a corner. Now when you work down the side, as long as you have the same amount of stitches on this side as you do on this side, make sure you've got the same amount of stitches. Now for my blanket, I did 10 sets of the pattern. So from where the pattern started, I did 10 sets. But remember and leave a big tail in case you need to add extra stitches if you get lost in your stitch count. And I did 70 rows of pattern, 70 rows up. That's how big mine's is. I didn't measure it to see how big it is. Now into each set of stitches, into each row, I'm going to put 2 stitches. I'm going to put 1 in here into that first one because I've already got my corner there, and I'm going to put 2 into this one and then 2 into the next space here. That's what I did with mine, 2 into each one, and then count them and make sure you do the same on the other side. Now down here I'm going to put 1 in, just like I did there, that extra one there, and I'm going to use the corner, put 2 stitches in, 1 and 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 more, 1 and 2. Now I'm going to pick up stitches along here, 1 into each stitch along. When you get to the chain 2 space, put 2 in, 1 into the bottom of the fan because we only used 1 stitch to make the fan, then 2 into this chain space and 1 into each of the stitches, and you should have the same number of stitches on the bottom as you do on the top, but not including the corner. So it'll be 1 into each stitch, 1 into that one, because I've got 3 along here. We used that 4th one to make the corner, remember we used the 4th one to make the corner. So 1 into the next stitch, just push your hook through the stitch. When you get to the chain space there, this is the foundation row, we've got the blanket upside down, 2 into that chain space, And it's only the foundation row that has skip 2, build a fan and skip 2. So there's your fan. You're going to go, just push your hook through the middle of that fan and just put 1 stitch in. We only use 1 to make the fan, so we're only replacing 1. Skip 2 chain space, put 2 in there because we skipped 2. We're going to put 2 in. Then we're going to put 1 into each of these stitches, 1 into that chain, 1 and 1 in there, 1 into these, and when you get to that upside down fan, 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 1 right through the middle of that fan, and then 2 stitches, and 1 into each stitch, and 1 in the chain spaces. The corner, in the corner, 2 stitches, 2 chain and 2 stitches. Then you'll work your way up. You'll put 1 in the rest of that little part of the stitch, then you'll put 2 into each stitch up. When you get to the top, you're going to put 1 into each of your stitches, 2 in the chain space, two into the chain space, and then you're going to skip 2 stitches and put 1 into the next 3. You're going to put 1 into each of the stitches, 1 in the chain space, 1 into each of the stitches, 1 in the chain space, work your way along. When you get to the chain, you'll put 2 stitches in the chain, skip 2, so you'll put 1 into each of the stitches. Remember that chain on the end. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 into the chain. Skip 1 stitch, put 1 stitch in. Skip 1 stitch, put 1 stitch in. Then work your 3. Put 1 in that chain space. Work your 3, 1 in the chain space all the way along. And when you get here, you'll put 2 in the chain space. Skip 1, put 1 in, skip 1, put 1 in, and then you'll work your 3 along. Put an even number of stitches in. If you're going to do the bottom as well, if you don't want to leave the top like that, count how many you end up in the bottom, and you'll put the same amount along the top evenly. 1 into these stitches, 1 in the chain, 1 into here is quite easy. You'll put 2 into this chain space here, skip 1, put a stitch in, skip 1, put a stitch in. Work your way across all these stitches. When you get to the chain, put 2 in, skip 1, put a stitch in, skip 1, put a stitch in, and work your way along. And you just to make sure it's nice and even along the top. I don't know how many stitches you're going to have in your blanket. So what I did was, the next row I did chain of 4, skip 1, then I did my treble crochet. That's a double crochet in the USA. Chain 1, skip a stitch and do another one. So I had all these little boxes evenly all the way around. I did the same thing for the next row, into the spaces. So the fan is 3 stitches, 3 chain and 3 stitches. I skipped a box and did a double crochet. That's a single if you're in the USA. Skipped a box and did the fan. 3 stitches, 3 chain and 3 stitches, skip a box, double crochet, skip a box, do a fan. I did that all the way along. When you get near the end, count them to see how many you've got, if you've got enough to fit your pattern in. If you don't, just come along a bit and don't skip a box, just put a double crochet in and work it in so that you get your fan to finish on the end. And that's the way I did it, because you might do your blanket bigger than me, you might do it smaller than me, so I can't work it out for you to do this. Just work your way along. If you've got 3 boxes left, then just skip 2 and do a double crochet. When you get to the corner for this one, I put 5 stitches, 4 chain and 5 stitches in the corner. Then I went down and did a double crochet. So when I did the double crochet, I went in between my 2 stitches, skipped a box, done a fan, skipped a box and double crochet. Skip a box, make a fan, skip a box and double crochet. And again, I worked along until I got near the end and I counted it in my head, double crochet, then skip a box, do a fan, skip a box. I didn't have enough left, so I just done my double crochet into the same stitch. Just work it in, just fit it in, just basically squash it in. Make sure your corners look like this, where you've got a fan, your corner one with your 5, 4 chain and 5, and your other one is 3 stitches, 3 chain and 3 stitches. If you don't have enough boxes, you might just have to adjust it across here a little bit, just to keep it all nice and even. But you can just do the pattern. It's up to you. So thank you very much for watching. Please click on that subscribe button. Please subscribe to the channel. Help me get up to 300,000 subscribers. It's completely free to subscribe to the channel. And if you click on the bell icon, YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.